This is the instructor's Week 6 video. This week you are reading chapters 20 and 22 in the textbook. Chapter 20 deals with the Progressive Era. The Progressives were mostly middle class and upper middle class white Americans who were trying to fix the problems in America. They were not revolutionaries. They didn't want to overthrow capitalism or any of the American systems. They wanted to repair problems in America and to fix capitalism and make it more functional and more fair. The Progressives focused on the problems caused by modernization. They wanted to clean up the cities. That included the filth, but also the corruption. They wanted to control big business, to break up the giant monopolies and trusts, and they wanted to help the poor, including by making safer working conditions. The Progressives were optimistic. They believed if there was a problem, then there was a solution. However, the Progressives were also paternalistic. In other words, they acted like parents who were caring for and guiding children. They looked at the poor like children that needed help, but also needed to be controlled and guided. Many of the Progressives in the South and the North were deeply racist and supported disenfranchisement and segregation. They believed that these things improved society. The textbook describes a number of progressive areas of progressive reform, including efforts to clean up corruption in city government, women's suffrage, temperance, the improving of working conditions, and tax reform. Next, the chapter goes on to discuss how progressivism entered into national politics and to discuss the three progressive presidents, Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, and Woodrow Wilson. The results of the progressive movement were significant improvements in living and working conditions and in American politics. Progressivism also led most Americans to believe that the government should play a role in regulating the economy and that it should protect citizens from exploitative businesses and corrupt politicians. As the war broke out, as World War I broke out in Europe, it drew American attention away from reform and progressivism began to fade. Which moves us into chapter 21 about World War I. The textbook begins by describing why World War I broke out, the progression of the war, and why the battles were so deadly. It then moves on to explain how trade, submarine attacks, and the Zimmermann telegram pulled us into the war. The United States mobilized for war, or it got ready for war, by organizing its economy and workers. The government made sure Americans expressed support for the war by spreading propaganda and literally making it illegal to criticize the war. A significant portion of the chapter deals with how President Woodrow Wilson tried and failed to implement an optimistic treaty to end the war. He also hoped that this treaty would prevent future wars. Finally, the chapter concludes with an exploration of how the war impacted African Americans, women, and socialists. So I hope you enjoy the material this week, and thank you for listening.